today's video, I'm creating a 2-tier Kendra cake of someone else's design, but that's what the little girl requested. So that's what we're giving her. I'm starting with a 15cm cake, adding a little border on the side just to keep my caramel filling in, smoothing it out for my second layer to go on top. And then doing the very same, giving it a buttercream border and adding caramel inside for my third layer to go smoothly on top. Going eye level to see if your cake is level, so much easier. As you can see, I'm putting 2 dowels in, but this time not one in the middle, because in the end I'm going to put one long dowel from the second tier right through to the first one. This step is quite important. It's a small layer of buttercream you add first. It's called a crumb coat. You just have to make it as smooth as you can, just to keep all those crumbs together, so our second layer will be without any crumbs. I'm bringing the frosting in from the side to the middle, making sure it's very even, and then this little tier is going into the fridge or your freezer for at least 20 to 30 minutes. I actually put that one in much longer in my fridge, so when it came out I can touch it with my hands. I'm starting my second tier. Now this is the bottom tier, it's a 20cm, doing exactly the same as I did with our first and smaller tier, adding the levels on top, making sure they are all level, and adding in 2 dowels. Again, I added in 4 dowels, and again, as you can see, no dowel in the middle this time. Another crumb coat to keep all of those nasty crumbs inside the cake where it belongs, smoothing it out as much as I can, and then this tier is also going into the fridge for at least 20 to 30 minutes. This is just a normal American buttercream frosting. It's my own version. You guys can find it on my blog, or I'll try and remember to keep it at the bottom here. Now the second one is using just a screen print. It's edible and you can find it in most bakeries these days. I just cut it out as small as I possibly can, and I'm working with some fondant here, some black fondant, and I'm going to shape a little window. Now I'm just using my eyes here as I go along and shaping, but you guys can totally use a mold for this. You can also just print it on the screen print as well. You don't have to do the window in fondant, but I did kind of like the way the 3D prints stand out. So just cutting and making sure it will fit. This little step, getting that plastic from the back, is a little bit tedious because you don't want to tear your picture at all. So go slow with that and be patient, making sure it comes off perfectly. And there we have our little window with girls staring out. Putting that aside, just cutting out and putting the Kendra sign or the name sign separately, because you don't want that screen print to dry out until you use it, because then it tears as well. It's a very delicate picture there. Now secondly, if you can see on the right hand side, I use some pink cereal, which is kind of blending in with the picture now, but it's a little tower that I molded out of cereal treats and some melted marshmallow. I think I did a video on that once. I'll check, and if I didn't, I'll make it for you again. I'm cutting out some blocks, and these blocks doesn't have to be even, in 3 different colors. Just rolling out my fondant. Now you can use a knife, but I have a little cutter that helps me to make my lines a little bit more straight. But this doesn't have to be perfect, because you're going to start layering them from the bottom. As you can see, I'm starting there at the bottom and layering different colors and different sizes on top of each other until I am happy and completely done with the tower. This takes a lot of time, so remember when you do your pricing, you want to put and keep that in mind, but you want to put your love into it and making sure everything is absolutely perfect. The very last color was a blue color. I just cut out some strips there. It doesn't have to be perfect like I said. And then layering them onto that little cereal tower. Now remember, everything on this cake is edible and you want to kind of keep it that way. So there's no have to take stuff off of your cake or problems later. Now just sticking them onto my little hat or cereal tower with some water, going round and around until the whole tower is completely covered in that fondant different strips. It's so pretty when all of the colors come together. You can alternate your colors, you can do two of the one. Just try and make it as uneven as possible, to be honest. Now back to our cakes. Our first tier, and we're doing our frosting layer. You will see on the left hand side I always have a warm bucket of water so I can dip my offset spatula inside, and it just helps me smooth out that frosting perfectly. Second tier is going on top. It was in the freezer for quite a while, so it's easy for me to touch it with my hands. Now there I had the dowel right in the middle and pushing it right through until the first and the second tier has that little dowel inside. Again, second tier getting a little bit of a different color there. I like the way the two colors blended, each one purple and lavender, and it just worked perfectly with the top little hat you're going to put on next. Again, just using my warm water to smooth out that levels of frosting, and this is where we put our little tower in. I'm using just a skewer. Now remember, you want to tell the people that's buying or taking the cake that there's a little skewer inside and they have to watch out for the skewer and the dowels. We are adding our little window, making sure it sticks onto our cake. You can also use toothpicks to just have it stick onto the cake more firmly. Now a little Kendra or name sign is going at the front. Just directly screen print onto your frosting. Here I added in some buttercream and just piping little flowers inside of the window of her that she's staring outside. And then of course cleaning up those edges. I think I just used a ball piping technique to go all around the cake at the bottom and at the top of the second tier. It just cleans it up while hiding any imperfections. It takes a little bit more time, but in the end it's all so much worth it because your cake is rounded off so much perfectly. And that's about it. That is how I did my 2 tiers Kendra cake, and I'm so thankful for you guys for watching.